Hi, everyone. Welcome back to weekly affirmations for creative people. I'm Michelle Tracy Berger, and I'm so happy to see you back here. It's week 6, and when I share the affirmation with you for this week, I also want us to think and reflect on what we think our expectations are regarding the time we need to get our work done. So this week's affirmation is I affirm that even small amounts of writing move my project forward. I affirm that even small amounts of writing move my project forward. Third time. I affirm that even small amounts of writing move my project forward. So I know when I was first starting out as a writer, I often dreamed and craved hours and hours and hours of writing and lots of unstructured time writing, and even thought that that was the most ideal way to write. And it's not like it's it can be wonderful to have unstructured time and 2 hours at a time to write, or 3 hours or 5 hours. But the reality is, for most of us who are working writers, to get our writing done, we usually can't wait for those optimal or ideal times. We have to write consistently, and often we have to create a way that our writing can be central and fit other things around it. And sometimes that means making the writing sessions a little bit smaller. So I want to talk about that. So I'm going to come back to that in a minute. The other thing that I want to have you think about is if you're a writer or creative person, is how do you kind of measure your sessions? So for writers, there are a couple of different ways that we can kind of measure our sessions, and then we can kind of see over time, is that helping us? Is that serving us? So we can track our writing or measure our writing by words done in a day. And that is a very popular way that many writers work. So it could be 500 words, 100 words. I've known people who finish novels doing 100 words a day. It could be 1,000 words a day, 2,500 words. That's a very reliable way. It's often a lot easier to track words when we are at the start of a project sometimes, if those of us who are newer writers, because it's great to see all those words start to rack up over time. When we're revising and editing, it's, usually we're taking away words and moving things around. The other way that people tend to track their work, at least in writing, are looking at pages. So some people do half a page, 1 page, 3 pages, 5 pages, 10 pages when they sit down to write. They have that as a goal. That's their measurement. When they hit that, they stop. And then finally, the other thing that people do is do it in terms of measuring. They look at time. So 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a half hour, 50 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. So those are really powerful ways to get both momentum and consistency. If you know that, okay, twice a week I'm sitting down and I'm doing 300 words in that writing session, or I'm sitting down for an hour. So going back to my revelation that doing shorter time periods actually and shorter word counts could be great, is there was this wonderful thing called the magic spreadsheet. And it was developed by a writer named Tony Pasculi. And it was a free resource. It was a big, big Google sheet, and it had hundreds of writers. And the idea was that you would do 250 words a day or more, but the baseline was 250. You would go into the magic spreadsheet and you would record it, what you wrote for that day. And then the magic of the spreadsheet was that it would, if you did more, you got certain points. And if you did, the longer you tried to keep your chain, so to speak, so writing every day 250 words for a week gave you more points over time than if you did it once in a while. And it was a revelation because before that I had always done time, and to do words as a basis, and to know that my threshold, the minimum was 250 words, was just eye-opening. And I want to give you some evidence about what that actually looked like over a 2-month period. So I wrote about this on my old blog, The Practice of Creativity, and it was under the magic spreadsheet. So doing for about 65 days, 250 words, plus sometimes did a little bit more, but always that baseline, 7 days a week. This is what I generated. One essay submission, one poem that I had in draft form for 2 years, a new short prose poem, 3 columns for the Chapel Hill News, which I was a columnist for, revisions on 4 short stories, a conclusion to a story that I was having trouble with for several months, several blog posts, 2 3-page synopses of possible novels, 6 character sketches for one of the above possible novels, drafting and outlining for an old unfinished novel, and then an additional 30,000 words in 65 days. So all of that output plus 30,000 words just by sitting down and committing to doing 250 words a day. Now, this may not be the right form or format for you to do 250 words, but I really want to encourage you to think about this affirmation. I affirm that even small amounts of writing move my project forward. If you're someone who really has been stuck or struggles with consistency, try doing 250 words or saying, I'm going to sit down for 50 minutes or doing a half a page consistently. Now, you don't have to do it every day, but some level of consistency always helps. And it helps keep our motivation up. So I'd love to hear how this lands for you. If you're someone who tends to track your work through one of these mechanisms, pages, minutes, or words, and kind of how you're feeling about this idea that, we are affirming to the universe that the actions that we take, even if they may seem small, they keep moving the project forward. Because that's what we want, right? We need to move our projects forward and then we move them into completion. So, love to hear from you. And please, as always, like and subscribe. And if you know a creative who would benefit from getting in on our weekly sessions, please send this to them. Thanks. And I'll see you next week.